Hello there, my fellow vapors and vapies. Welcome back to another Joker Vapes, aka Mike Vapes. I told you when I did my review for my TFV4 that we would be back to do the coil build when I was ready to do that. And so we have the original coil that came with the TFV4. It's a little black and charcoal. Well, you see on my mod box, this coil, as you can see, it's like all black and everything. It wasn't working right. It wasn't reading right. Every time I tried to get it to work, my volts where I had to be at like, well, you see how my volts right now are 4.2. Well, my volts had to be at like 6.0, and I wasn't at an 8.0. I wasn't even getting but 30 watts out of it. So I took it off, switched it out. I made another coil, a 5-wrap Canthal coil, as you can see here, and put it on there. I was vaping it for a little while, and then I got to thinking, oh man, I told these people I was going to come back and show them how to do this build. So I'm here to show you how to do the build. As you can see, like I said, it's 4.5 watts. It's burning at 37 watts at 4.1 volts. It's a 0.47 ohms build. It heats up rather nice. As you can see, it goes from the inside out. And I was rather happy with it. But I've recently done a little bit of work, and we're going to show you guys a couple of different builds you can do. Um, a lot of people, I mean, I watched Rip Tippers and a couple other people who were saying, you know, you can't do a vertical build. Well, I'm going to try to prove them wrong. I'm going to try to make a vertical build on the RBA for the T4, or the TFV4, sorry. So, what we're going to need is our Canthal wire, which I have a 24 gauge Canthal wire. We're going to need a screwdriver or a coil building kit, but I don't have a coil building kit, so we're going to use the screwdriver technique, which I have the little blue mini guy, and I got the black one that came with the TFV4. You're going to need something to cut the wire. You're going to need tweezers to strum the coils and pull the cotton, some pliers to play around with the wire, bending it and tweaking it, um, scissors to cut your cotton if you have to cut some cotton off, and most of all, you're going to need your cotton, which I have right over here, guys, called cotton bacon. Now, I don't really know who the cotton bacon is made from. It looks like it's a USA product. So we're going to be using this to wick the coil. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of builds for it. I'm going to show you guys the regular vertical build, or the horizontal build, whatever. And I'm going to show you a vertical build as well. And you guys can figure out which one you guys like to use. So as far as with the coil, the wiring goes, we're gonna get some 24 gauge wire. We're gonna pull off what we need, straighten it out. We're gonna clip a good amount. Now, I mean, you can never clip too much wire because you can make more than one coil, but you can always cut off not enough wire, and that's never good for anybody if you don't cut off enough wire, because then you got to cut more wire and make more of a bit. It's just a pain. If you cut a little too much wire, that's okay, because then it gives you something to play with. Bear with me, it is a little difficult for me to make these coils with the screwdrivers, but we're gonna go ahead and do our best. As you can see, as normal, I'm laying in my bed where I'm comfortable, and I've got the computer on my lap, AC blowing, but we're going to slow this down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I take my little blue screwdriver, because the smaller the coil is, the lower the ohms are, and we're going to go ahead and make our wraps. Now, I do a wrap, that's one, and then I pull it nice and tight to itself. Take the pliers on top of the screwdriver and push that down. Boom. So that it's nice and flat on there. And then I go ahead and I do my wraps. So we've got one, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wraps. Now, like I said, what I have on there is a 5 wrap. So I'm going to have multiple different coils. Now, as you can see, my coil doesn't look the prettiest as of right now, but that's where the pliers come in. Take your pliers to the top of the screwdriver and just put that coil together. Now that coil is together, you go ahead and use your pliers, pull it tight, pull both leads tight, and when that tightens up your coil. Now you can play with it a little more if you want it closer. You just put it back on there, push it down some more, get it nice and close to itself, tighten it up some more, grab both leads, tighten it up some more, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've actually got a 5 wrap. We're gonna wrap it one more time. So we're gonna make 6 wraps. So now we've got a six wrap coil. Squish it together, pull it tight. Alright, we've got a coil. Bam. Done. Now, you can take these leads, because we're going to use this as the horizontal coil. So since we're going to use it as a horizontal coil, now, for the RBA, the coils have to go to the opposite sides of the actual deck itself. So we have them on opposite ends of each other. Now we're going to go ahead and take this coil off of here. So you're going to unscrew from your the screws, so you back them out of your posts, which I like this RBA over some of the other RDAs and stuff. Whoops, took that screw too far out. Over some of the other RDAs, for the fact that there's a hole that you can slide your lead into and then clamp it down inside. But we're going to go ahead and take this coil off. I don't know how cool it is because we were just playing with it, so get that lead out of there, pull this lead out of here, like so. Boom. We're going to throw that to the side. Now, you're going to go ahead and this coil is going to sit right on top, of this air hole, but not touching that air hole. So we want to get it right about there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bend this lead down. Try to keep it as close to the coil as possible. Now that that lead's bent down, it bends it a little bit away from the coil. And then we're going to go ahead and grab it down back here. And we're going to bend that puppy like this so that it can fit inside. Sorry if I'm blocking the screen, I'm trying to get it inside the hole. So that it fits inside. And once we've got it inside of where we want it, we're going to go ahead and take the screwdriver, put it in here, and we're going to go ahead and stretch that over top of our hole. And get it as centered as possible over top of our hole as we need it to be without it touching. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to snip this off like so. I'm going to snip it off. We're going to go ahead and slide that back in here. It looks like I need to take a little bit more off, because when you put this RDA together, you have to remember that the chimney is going to sit pretty much right on the other side of this post. So you want to keep this about as flush and clean as possible. I don't have any screws in here, I shouldn't have such a problem. You want to try to keep it as flush as possible to the back side of it as you can. Because if not, your chimney won't screw down. It'll be making a ground, and you don't want that to happen, because if that happens, then I mean, it's just bad news. So now I've got that in place. It's clean on both sides. We're gonna go ahead, take one of our screws, hold this in place, and we're gonna go ahead and put this screw back inside its hole, and we're gonna screw down our lead. Apologize, I'm having a little bit of some technical difficulties, seeing as the screws came out too far and they're no longer inside the deck. We go ahead, we get that on there, hold the lead down, screw it in place like so. Once we've got it in place, we can go ahead and play with the coil a little bit more, get it directly over top of the coil, or over top of the airflow hole. Get it where we need it to go. Ah, shit. Be careful that you take all of your cut ends and move them so you don't get stabbed like I just did. Son of a bitch. Alright, now that we've got that in place, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bend this one down where we need it to go. Bend it right about so. And we're going to cut this. We're going to cut this off. Now this is definitely not the prettiest build I've ever made. I mean, I've had way better looking coil builds than this. But we're going to go ahead and get that where we want it. We're going to slide that bad boy up in here. No, that doesn't work well at all, so we're going to cut some more of this off. Careful not to cut too much of it off, because cut too much, then we got to go back and play with it more. But get the screwdriver, get it back in place. Let me tell you, sometimes this thing can just be a pain in my ass. I'm going to do some finagling to get this wire inside of the hole where we want it to go. Let me straighten this out. We're having some technical difficulties right now, guys. Sorry for this. Once you get the coil in there, we're going to go ahead and screw down the lead. Once you get your lead screwed down, you're going to go ahead with your screwdriver and play with it, get it where you want it, a little bit above that hole, because you don't, like I said, you don't want any of your wires touching the deck itself. And we're going to go ahead and use our pliers and squeeze the coil together some. And that's about perfect. I mean, the coil itself, the build's not all that great, but we have what we're looking for. It's a 0.61 ohms for this one. That's a 6 wrap. But we're going to go ahead and use our pliers and try to squeeze this coil together a little bit more. And it something happened. Okay, you gotta be careful because If it touches the deck, it's going to ground out. But it's burning, it's glowing perfectly from the inside out. There you've got a 6-wrap horizontal coil at a 27 watts, a 4.6 volts, and 0.81 ohms. There you have that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the vertical style build on here. Just pull this coil out, toss it to the side because I'm not going to use it. If I get the vertical build right, we're going to use that one. Now wicking that one is just like wicking any other coil. You pull the cotton through the center of the coil, and you only want it to sit right here on the top of this deck. You don't want it to block these holes. You don't want it down inside these holes. You want it to sit right up against the deck part, right here, right above these holes, because the juice is going to come into those holes and it's going to feed into that wick, and that's how it's going to stay saturated. I really got to get me one of those Canthol things. Well, this one we're going to cut a little bit longer because this will be the first vertical style build I've done for this. Jesus Christ, my wife. Oh my God, she's like kicking everything everywhere. Alright, try to get everything set back up again. Sorry. Button this button real quick. It's got a little hole in it, so you can put it in there and stop it from unwrapping. But, alright, on to this. For this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a 7-wrap. So we're going to use the bigger screwdriver for this one. There's 1 wrap. We're going to go ahead and tighten it down. Pull our leads tight. We're going to wrap 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go ahead and push those together. Pull it nice and tight. Pull this in nice and tight. Ah, shit. Stabbed myself with the fucking Canthol wire. Alright. Pull that nice and tight. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wraps. So we've got our 7 wraps. I'm going to tighten it up. Fuck, I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. Sorry, everything's going wrong in this video. I've stabbed myself twice. Can't get the wires to work with me. trying to get the wires going the opposite directions of each other. So we got this one here, and we've got this one down here. Got them going opposite directions of each other, like so. Now, this one is going to be the lead that's coming down to it, so we're going to go ahead and get it nice right here. We want to keep it as close as we can to the actual wire without touching. And we've got that now, like so. And we want to get it to center above. Oh, I'm sorry if you guys can't see the box. I'll put it down a little bit. Why? I don't understand what's going on. Either way, so we're gonna pull this out just a little bit so that we can get it on here, and we want to get this to sit nice and just above the hole, so that it's not touching. Right about there, so that it's not touching, but it's just above that hole centered. And then we're gonna go ahead about right here and make ourselves a little bend down. And it's going to take a little bit of finagling, guys. Then we're going to bend it about right here. We're going to see where that leaves us at. We're a little high, so we're going to go ahead and bend that back, come up a little bit, and bend it right about there. And we're going to check it out again. Better to measure twice and cut once, guys. And that looks like it'll be just about good, so we'll go ahead and bend these wires a little bit. And that's going to put me right where I want to be. So we're going to go ahead and cut off and leave about that much wire on there. We're going to go ahead and slide that in place. We're going to tighten up that lead, lock it down. Get our screwdriver in here and line that up right where we want it. Now that we've got that lined up, you can go ahead and leave your screwdriver in here so that you have something to work with. And then with this lead, we're going to go ahead, we're going to bend it down. Cut some of this off. We're going to go ahead and get a bend on that. Get it to bend right where we want it. And I found needle nose pliers coming very, very handy when having to do this. Now that we've got that in there, we're going to go ahead and secure down that lead as well. Get it nice and centered. Right over that hole. Still got a little bit more to go, so that's about good. That's pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and pull this wire this way a little bit just to get it off of the deck so that it's not touching. Go ahead and straighten it out, get it right. And it's at a 0.75. 27 watts at 4.5 volts. We're going to go ahead and strum it a little bit. Get any hot spots that may be in there out. We're going to go ahead and tighten this up. Tighten that up a little bit. And as you can see there, going rather nicely. Now we're going to go ahead and get this in here once more real quick. Straighten it out. Make sure it's right over top of the hole. And then we're going to get some cotton for this thing. Now, cotton, like I said, I'm using Cotton Bacon version 2.0 by Wicking Vape, USA made. You know, I've seen a lot of people using the Japanese cotton. I just don't have any, so we're going to go ahead and pull some of this out. I don't know if we're going to need that much cotton, so we're going to go ahead and pull a little bit off of here, like so. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Well, I can use that for another wick. Let's see, get this. I'm going to pull some of this off of here. Hopefully not have the same bad luck here. And then we're going to go ahead and try to wick this bad boy up. Now we're going to wrap our wick right around the coil. So we're going to stuff our cotton. Well, let's put our screwdriver in here real quickly, just to give us a little bit of space. And now we're going to try to stay above the decks, but we're going to come down so as to get in that juice well. Once we got that there, we're going to go ahead and play with it a little bit. Get it caught right where we want it. Once we got our cotton where we want it, we're going to go ahead, pull this thing out. We're going to stick it on our chimney. Mine is just barely big enough to go through the chimney. And this as well. And we're going to go ahead, put our chimney on. And we may have to add a little bit of cotton, but we're going to leave this in here for a second. And we're going to use our other little screwdriver to make sure that we keep our cotton underneath the underneath the screw for our top cap to go on. And we're going to go ahead and saturate it. Now this is going to take a little while to saturate, because you have to remember it goes all the way around and down. So we're going to go ahead and fill this up real quick. Let that sit for a second, and then we'll hit it again so that it saturates all the way down, because remember it's got a little ways to go. And the liquid I'm using on it right now is Joker. I know it's in a clear bottle, but it's the Joker from Time Bomb. Really good liquid. Well, now that we've got this nice and saturated, let it soak down there a little bit. We're going to go ahead and pull our screwdriver out. Pull this cotton back so that we can see our coil, like the top of our coil. And that's what it should look like in the end. Now, it should be saturated all around. We're going to go ahead and dry fire it a couple times. Pulse it a couple times. Pull some of that liquid down in there. Now remember, if you're using metal, not ceramic tools, you don't want to hit that fire button while you're touching it. You're going to short it out, and you're just going to have to do everything all over again, because then the coil's not going to work. So try not to hit that fire button at all. That'll be really, really bad. Now we got everything situated in here. We're going to go ahead. I think I still got a little bit of juice in here, so we're going to go ahead and swap the cap. Get the top piece on here. Get it in place. Okay, it's still working, so we're going to take our liquid, which I'm running low in that, so we're going to go ahead and grab the actual Time Bomb Joker flavor. We're going to open this up. And we're just going to fill this up while we've got it open, since it fills up a little faster this way. And we're going to fill it up to the top. Of the chimney. So that we don't get anything inside that chimney, because you definitely don't want to do that. And then we're going to go ahead and pulse it a little bit. Let that cotton soak up that liquid. By the way, guys, my first ever vertical coil build. You guys got to see it right here with me. And it looks like we might have a little bit of a juice leaking problem, so I may have to add some more cotton, guys. But we're going to check that out right now. Hold on, before I put this thing back together. Oh, maybe it was just from when I first put it together. But now, go ahead and put this top cap back on with the into the chimney. And you're going to screw this down just tight enough. And then we're going to fill it up the rest of the way and go ahead and vape on that. But that's a vertical build.